Okay, we've all had our 3-minute stretch break to get our brains going. Hopefully, we're all back. We can put our faces on screen if you're able to. If not, I totally understand. Okay, so the next section we're going to get into is the project abstract. And usually, this is a section that a lot of people get a little stressed out about because they're like, oh my gosh, it says we have 8 pages. That's a lot. Believe me, once you get all your information together, you're going to be trying to figure out how to shorten it. So you will get those 8 pages needed. Definitely that. So here are the requirements just put in bullet form for you for the project abstract. Again, just to emphasize, this is 10 points of the 100 points for the application. And just a reference, this is what's on page 35 of the RFA. So again, emphasizing a vision for the proposed continuation or expansion of the community schools initiative, making sure that you are describing what schools are participating, including information about programs and services that are going to be added or expanded and provided to the school sites that are participating, making sure you are explaining how the communities and partnerships and families are going to be engaged through this process of the California Schools Framework, explaining the ongoing reflection and assessment piece. And that was the part that I was speaking about earlier, making sure that you are constantly focusing on that continuous improvement piece. And part of that is making sure that you are reflecting on the plan and the processes that are occurring as you are transforming your school to this community hub. Describing any initiatives that are currently at the school site within your district that put a great emphasis on the community schools framework. And then again, with that format, 8 page limit, the 12-point Arial font, single line spacing, and 1 inch margins, which is how Microsoft Word and Google Docs, they're already set up to for that. Just make sure that you have your font and that single spacing correct. So, to help you with this process, we have created a planning worksheet Google form for you just to make sure that you're hitting all of these areas. The Google form is set up just to make sure that you're answering the rubric properly and that is aimed towards making sure you're getting that strong to outstanding score. And I will go over this and then share the worksheet with you. So again, with your proposed project and district information, they want to make sure that you have a description of what that project is, the vision of the LEA. So what is your district's and your school's vision? How do that align to the project? So how does the project align to the vision and the California Schools Framework? And then also which LCAP goals reflect the work that is being done with the project? So that way they see that through line, making sure that the project is not only applying to the California implementation framework, but it's also something that your LEA is also working in. And the LCAP goal is like, here it is. We're doing this goal. We're already doing this. It's just extra emphasis on having purpose and intentionality with the project that you are choosing. For school site participation, listing all the school sites that are participating, the demographics of those participating school sites, as well as the needs for each school site. Putting that in there again. When you're writing your project abstract, not only do you want to be clear about the project that you're writing and the vision and that it aligns with the California Schools Framework, but when you are presenting demographics for these school sites, you are basically saying this is why we need it. Look at our demographics. This is how the project is going to help us because we have those demographics that need that help. So please make sure that you are emphasizing the demographics at the schools. In regards to the four pillars, how do they relate to the project? What are current services and partnerships that you already have? What are those additional services and partnerships that you have? And again, that through line. What are those initiatives that are already at the district that ensures that we're going to get support for these pillars because we are already doing it. We're just transforming our school to the next level with this grant and the framework. Continuous improvement. So, what is going to be your system and process for reflection? What is going to be your system and process for ongoing assessment? Meaning, how are you going to collect data? How are you going to survey parents and families to see are they benefiting? Do they see changes in their students? Going to the services. How are you going to make sure that you're currently assessing the services and the providers that you have chosen for this project? So just a system on how you're going to make sure you do these things to ensure that your project is successfully implemented to transform the school site. And then again, additional needs. So this is a chance for you to bring up other criteria that is not necessarily in part of the requirements, but other things that you know that if I was to say these things on top of what's already stated, they really see that we need this. So this area is the time for you to add anything extra, anything valuable to to the project abstract that shows that we need this grant. Besides what you told us is a need, wait, I have some more things that emphasize why this project is needed at our school site, and this is what it is. And that part, that additional information, is that opportunity to do that, and that's what they mean by outside of the evaluation criteria. So let's stop here. I'm going to take an opportunity to share that abstract, that planning abstract with you all. Can everyone see that? Okay. So this is the project abstract planning worksheet that the RTAC has put together for you guys. And it's in a Google form for a reason. As you know, with the project abstract, you are not doing this alone. There are probably multiple people working on this together to ensure that we have all the information needed. Hence, put it in a Google form because you guys can share this Google form and type in it together the information and see what one another is sharing. So the first page just emphasizes the project abstract instructions and then again the rubric. When you get into the other part, you see all of the different sections that must be answered. So that proposed project and district information. You can type it in this section, your school site participation. And on this left side, you'll see just little details and questions that they have asked throughout the project abstract. And it's just a worksheet where you can type in the information. It is already separated by pillars, it's separated by the district information, and it also has a piece once you get past the pillars. It has a section for the continuous improvement and ongoing assessment, and of course, that additional information. And on the side, you'll see just descriptions on what they're asking for when they're speaking about that. So we were hoping to give you this worksheet just so your team who is working on the abstract could work together and get that information in together. You guys can work as a team, and once you have all the information here, it should give you everything you need to write your 8 pages and hit everything that's needed on the rubric to make sure you have a good and strong, outstanding, excuse me, and strong score on the project abstract. So you can look at that at your own convenience, but it's just, we're just trying to get in the habit of if we are able to provide a tool or any kind of assistance to help make it easier on the process of applying, we want to be able to provide that for you all. All right. So again, this is what I wanted to share with you all is inside of the reference guide that was received for for the implementation grant work group application in the guide. There's a link to take you to examples. And what I would like to do at this time is actually share a link with you guys in the chat, so you can actually take the time to actually review one of the project abstracts that was turned in, for you to look at. So let me stop here. I am navigating two screens, so apology up front. So I'm going to drop a link in the chat, and I want to give you guys some time to actually read one of the project abstracts that was submitted for an implementation grant for a school that did receive it. And it is actually a pretty good written project abstract, but I wanted to give you guys a couple of minutes to read it, and actually read it and see if what you would score it for reading it for the first time. Would you consider it to be strong or outstanding? So I'm going to give you guys it's a quick read. The link is in the chat. I'll give you about 3 minutes. It's not a long read, 3 minutes, 4 minutes to go through it. Um, and just give your thoughts of what you see in the abstract, and we're going to discuss it. Um, this is a good strategy to see if there's anything that you see that looks good that you could utilize as far as how it's written, or did you have suggestions that you would see that if for your first time reading it as a reviewer, just like they will at the state level, is the project that they're doing sound clear to clear as far as transforming their school site, and it's a clear link to the California schools community schools implementation plan. So we'll take about 2 to 3 minutes to do that. If you can take the time to read it, and then we'll discuss it. Hello, everyone. I know if you guys kind of read like me, I'll read a section and then I'll smoosh to the next section to get an idea of what's going on. I do not expect you guys to read the whole 8 pages like in its totality, but at least get an idea of what was written. So, do you guys see the abstract on your end on the share screen? Okay. So, did you notice any ahas as you were reading this abstract or anything that you saw that they did very well? And you can come off the mic. You don't have to raise your hand, or you can share in the chat. Either is acceptable. I'm willing to read and I'm willing to listen.
Hi, this is Serena. I think one thing I noticed was continually mentioning framework or community school ideals in small sentences throughout the document. So it wasn't like they checked it off once and said, I did it. It felt like it was really braided into everything. So they kept referencing key community schools concepts. So it really made it feel like it was the foundation of their project.
Awesome. Was there anyone else that saw anything? The one thing that was mentioned is they like the initiative listing to build upon. Yes, that was huge to see that, hey, I'm doing this project. And by the way, these are all the initiatives that already align to it. It just lets you know right away that the project that they chose is on point. It's like it matches with what we're already doing. We're just taking it to the next level to transform our school to a community school. And that's very, very important to make sure that you are able to tie it to something that is already going on and that, again, um, braiding the whole community schools framework the whole time throughout that project abstract is so essential. Was there anything else that was noticeable? Yes, Denise.
Yeah, within the initiative section, I noticed lots of things that they listed, which I wouldn't have thought to list. I thought we were thinking of like I guess like bigger initiatives, but there's some smaller ones in there that I mean they're great. Like we do a lot of that too.
Right. And I mean, like you said, they weren't like, oh my gosh, like huge, huge things, but they were vital things to the project, right? So for right here, when you go to existing PBIS, how many of us are already doing PBIS, right? That's all, behavior, positive behavior intervention. A lot of us are doing things around trauma informed practices, restorative practices. We're having strong SEL programs. We are monitoring attendance. There's a lot of things that we're already doing to work towards making sure that we are constantly reviewing things and initiating programs that's going to help our students with positive student learning outcomes. But at the end of the day, you got to see the through line, right? So, how do all these things work together as I am transforming my school site into a community school? Right. And I need to be able to clearly see that as I read the project abstract. So, this was actually one of the most detailed ones that I have seen. It was written, they just basically wrote it in sections. They didn't write it as a summary, but they wrote it in sections, and it was enough information to say, hey, they hit everything. I know what's going on. I hit the L caps. It's like they hit everything. They just wrote it differently. So everyone's may not be written in the same manner, but at the same time, are you emphasizing those points that they're looking for? And if you can do that and make sure that it's clear, you should not have an issue with your project abstract. Okay. So what score did you guys give that? You can write it in the chat. I'm curious. What was your score with that abstract reading it? What score would you give it? 8 to 9, outstanding. A 9. Oh, you see my presenter view. Thank you. Sorry. Yes, I was there too. I don't know what a 10 looks like, but I definitely know this one was stronger outstanding when they scored it. At least a 8 or a 9. I am totally in agreement. Definitely that range. And that's what you want. You want that between a 7 and a 10 with that abstract. So if you're writing it in that strong to outstanding area, that means you are emphasizing the points that you want to make. We want to stay out of the good and minimal. We want to stay in that, again, 8 to 10 possibly, 7 to 10 stretching it with our project abstract. So now let's go into the planning artifacts. This is the part you guys are gonna, the stress is going to go away once I give you good news on this section. So we should be excited. Our planning artifacts. So there was a big stress about how do I communicate, um, showing that we did an asset mapping and needs gap analysis, right? Do I have to come up with this big exquisite report? Do they want to see every little thing? They do not want to see every little single thing that you did. They just want some kind of proof that you looked at the needs of the students. So these are different ways under the example of evidence that people have submitted their information. So they have given like a summary of planning activities within a data report. So these are all the different things that we did. They have to say that this is how, for example, I did Panorama Ed survey. I looked at the California Healthy Kids, our Title One parent survey. I looked at these list of data, and then this is what I came up with for our needs. They're okay with that. They just need some kind of proof that you showed you did something to get an idea of what the needs were and what your assets were. They said people have submitted like examples of surveys that they have done. Just the example of the survey. We did this survey. This is how we collected the data. They showed pictures from planning meetings to show that, hey, here's pictures of the posted papers that we were doing that people wrote on to give ideas. So when we spoke to CDE directly, they said these were examples of how people have submitted that evidence. So it doesn't necessarily have to be that detailed 10-page report to show your needs and assets. You just need to show proof that you actually went through the process to determine what the needs and assets were and gaps, which led to the project that you are proposing. That's it. So these are just examples of different ways they will take it. Does that make anyone feel better on the call? Because this was a part where people are like, oh my God, I need this extensive 12-page data report. No. And remember, this is also the section where you have it or you don't, right? You're going to get a 4 if you got it, you give me something, or you're going to have 0 if you don't give me anything. So the best thing is if you can find something that falls in this lane, submit it so you can get your 4. So you can get points and proof for it. So I thought that was great news when that was discussed, because now that anxiety can go down a little bit on this section. The planning artifacts for the shared decision making council. So shared decision making council can be any shared leadership team or steering committee or advisory council that you have met with to determine the project, to determine the schools that are participating, and they just need proof of the roster. And again, if you are having multiple sites, each site needs a roster to be included in the application. Because remember, during the whole process of this grant, and as you're doing the community schools framework and transforming your school into a community hub, you should have some type of shared decision making council that is constantly looking at your plan, doing that ongoing assessment and reflection to determine if your school is going in the right direction with this proposed project, and even afterwards for sustainability once the grant has ended. You are able to submit 2 minutes from your meetings. There is no proposed format on how the minutes need to be submitted. You just need proof. They can either be at the LEA level, or they can be at the school site level, or it could be a mixture. So let's say, for example, your shared decision council consisted of all the principals that were going to be participating and the people from the LEA who's going to be supporting. You can submit 2 minutes from those meetings that you had as a whole. However, just make sure when you submit your rosters, show proof that you do have a shared decision making council at the school site level. Because I know that's the position that mostly everybody will probably be in for the grant. If you have not already done your individualized shared decision making council meetings at the school site level and mostly did them at the LEA level, it's fine for the minutes, but just make sure you do have a roster for the individual school sites that will be participating, so they have proof that there are councils set up to continue on the work and to meet and to make sure that you're effectively implementing the proposed project for that site. And then again, there's 2 resources right here in case anyone's having a difficult time trying to put together an agenda for a meeting, or if you're trying to do your minutes. These, again, just a couple of resources from our RTAC that can help you put your minutes together. And if your minutes are different than this, then this is something that you can use moving forward. But we just want to make sure to provide you with a resource to make sure that you're having effective shared decision council meetings for your community school implementation plan. And the last planning artifact is alignment to the framework. And this has so many options, you just need to pick one, right? So if you have a current MOU with a company that is going to be helping you, or a service that you already have, you can present that. Any professional learning plans, any schedules, any strategic planning documents, any meeting agendas, surveys, feedback forms, anything that shows that you are in the process of transforming your school into that community hub and you are implementing the community schools framework, any of these will be sufficient for that area. So choose one, use it, attach it, and you'll get your points. But these are the options to show alignment to the framework. They just want to make sure that whatever you're doing, whether it's services, programs, schedules with students to assist them with things, that they're aligned to the framework. So just show proof and you should be fine. We are at the end. I know that was a lot of a lot of stuff for the hour or so. But hopefully the information was helpful. And this is a time where you can ask any question. You can drop it in the chat. You can raise your hand, ask any question that you may have in regards to what has happened. Oh, thank you, Cecilia. Greatly appreciate it. Oh, thank you, Jody. Thank you, Ileana.